Hello, ODAC fans, and welcome to our latest edition of ODAC Chat. My name is JJ Nekloff, and I'm the Associate Commissioner of the Old Dominion Athletic Conference. And today we're going to talk a little field hockey, as it just happens to be Field Hockey Day, as we have Ashley Smeltzer-Kraft, the head coach at Shenandoah University, and the chair of the ODAC Field Hockey Coaches. And we have that coaches meeting later today, actually on this Friday as well. Ashley, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I started my day off with an early morning practice, so can't really beat that. How are you doing?
I'm doing great in that early morning practice. I hear you, but it's those practices that have helped you be successful along the way here. So let's hop right into your program, if you will. 2016, you win the championship, and that's really the apex of what you've seen right now in the 8th season at Shenandoah. You're encroaching on 100 victories yourself. Just talk a little bit about the growth to get to that point and take us back to that 2016 championship season and what the feeling was like to lift that trophy.
Yeah, I think it's just been a really strong emphasis on recruiting. When I first got to Shenandoah, we only had 13 field players and 3 goalies my first year. So
Right.
going from a really insanely small roster to just building, having some wiggle room with like who we play and who we sub has really helped us. So that emphasis was there right from the start in February when I came to Shenandoah, and built that for 3 years, and fortunate enough to have won the championship in 2016.
Yeah, let's talk about some of that success and what it takes to build a program. Each of your seasons so far, you've been at 500 or better, and including a program record 17 wins in 2019, so outstanding for you. Talk a little bit about your process for building into this championship right now, and then also being able to sustain it, because you've played in 3 of the last 4 ODAC title games.
Yeah, I think it's just recruiting players that have a similar philosophy to you, that buy into your program. So my main goal when I first got here was I want to establish what my core values are and what my mission is as a program, but then also to let the student athletes have some say into that. Like, what do they want out of the program? What do they want out of their 4 years, their college experience? And I think we often find as coaches that when players buy into that and what we're trying to do as a whole, like as a unit, it leads to some success on the field and on the court.
Well, I would say that it's outstanding the focus that you've had on all that, but now you've got another challenge in front of you right now. It's something that we're all dealing with at the moment, just how to stay active and stay motivated and get ready for hopefully a spring season in the COVID landscape that we're in right now. Talk a little bit about some of the things that you're doing, and maybe some of the ODAC field hockey teams that some of the things that they're doing to try to kind of spur this along and be ready to go if hopefully we do get a chance to play here come the spring.
In our program here at Shenandoah, we talk about like our order of importance of things. So we always say family comes first, academics come next, and then field hockey after that. So first and foremost, it was just making sure that, in the spring and the summer from March on, we were okay as individuals. Like, where are we at mental health wise? Where are our families? Are we all healthy? And then from there, it's academics. So how do you transition from learning fully in person to, a hybrid system or fully online? And that's been challenging, I think, for some
Right.
of our student athletes, because they're so used to being in person and engaging and forming relationships with their professors. So those were the things that we focus on first, as much as I want to focus on field hockey every day, all day, 24/7. It's like we need to make sure those 2 areas are good before we can be successful on the field. So I think starting September 15th with practices gave us a little bit of leeway there, and, just
Right.
settling into our classes, especially for those freshmen who have just had no kind of, preseason feeling or anything like that. And then it's just trying to engage them, reminding them that, every day we're fortunate to be on the field together. And we've been doing presentations about female athletes, and we look at how far we've come, as women in sports, and that we're just lucky to be out there together supporting one another. So that's been a really strong focus. Obviously, there's the other piece of it. Can we get bigger, faster, stronger here
Right.
in the fall? So a lot of focus on basic skills, especially in the beginning when we were in 2 different pods and, we weren't able to interact that much. My players all joke. They're like, man, we've done a lot of shooting drills. We're going to score a lot of goals this spring. So.
Real briefly, real fast, talk a little bit about a little bit of that change, if you will. We've obviously traditional, non-traditional seasons, what we're used to, but now you've got 114 days basically to practice and then have your traditional season if we get to have it in the spring. Has that been a little bit of a different dynamic, and have you enjoyed having that, being able to practice in a different way?
I have, I would be a big fan, and I'm a big supporter of that moving forward. I feel like we just have a little bit more freedom in our scheduling, and especially here at Shenandoah with fitting a lot of teams on one field, it's helped us with that, where we can spread it out a little bit more. And like I said, just more freedom to kind of do what we want and make it work for our individual programs.
Before we dive into a little more content, let me take a quick word from one of our sponsors.
With over 100 local offices, Virginia Farm Bureau agents are part of your community. If you want insurance from a company that knows you, get to know us.
Well, Ashley, we thank our friends at Virginia Farm Bureau Insurance for helping us out as one of our corporate sponsors, as they assist us in the championships and awards that we do throughout the league, so we thank them. But I want to talk a little bit more about you specifically here right now, too, because you have a couple more hats that you wear at Shenandoah. One of those being the senior women administrator for the Hornets. Talk a little bit about some of the things that you do under that role for Shenandoah.
So it's interesting. If you look up like a true definition of what is a senior woman administrator in SWA, you truly won't find it out there. I think at every institution it looks a little different. Here for me, it's just about supporting the student athletes and supporting my colleagues. So this week I've met with two student athletes that we're going to nominate for the NCAA Student Immersion Program, and we've worked through their applications and we've submitted them. So hopefully, fingers crossed, they'll be accepted into the virtual program. That is.
That would be outstanding.
That would be, yeah. So we had someone last year as well. It's just awesome opportunity, and it's one of my favorite parts of the job because I get to interact with different student athletes outside of my team. So just doing that, and honestly, just trying to be an ear listening to my colleagues. How can I support them? We're all kind of working through these challenges together. So how can we be innovative and creative, and what can I do to support them day to day, then on a bigger scale as well? So, us coaches can be a pain sometimes, so we often need that support.
Well, there's no doubt about that. We know how coaches can be pain. Right?
I know. We've got to touch.
Well, you're all about support, though, when it comes to what you do at Shenandoah, because another place that you help advise is with SAAC on campus. Talk a little bit about some of the things that Shenandoah SAAC is doing, especially with the NCAA Diversity Inclusion social media campaign coming up at the end of October.
I have been so proud to be part of that program. I started probably 5 years ago, and I'm the co-advisor for it. So luckily I have Coach Mitchell from football, and we kind of tag team it. And it's just amazing. Like, think about the absolute best leaders on campus, and then think about having the opportunity to work with them every day almost. Our SAAC is super engaged. We've already had a few meetings, and just trying to cover and make sure that we're kind of giving and doing outreach for everyone possible. So one of the things that we did last year, we had a really strong goal to form a bond with Area 13 Special Olympics. So when in March, when everything kind of started shutting down, we knew that the athletes there would struggle with being at home all the time. So we had some student athletes write them letters of encouragement and like, this is what I'm doing to stay active. What are you doing? That type of thing. So we've done that. And then obviously the very necessary focus on diversity and inclusion, and how can we make everyone on our campus feel like they have a part in what we're trying to do and in our mission. So we've started our Hornets Red team, and that's a group of student athletes and then staff and faculty that have come together, and our SAAC will work with them on the campaign at the end of this month.
Well, these are all some of the enriching programs that we have around all of our teams, all of our sports in the ODAC and at our member schools. But what I want to do here as we finish up is to get back onto that field realm here a little bit. So let's talk a little ODAC field hockey now. have a look now in your 8th season. Talk a little bit about the growth of the league that you've seen. Obviously, the talisman for a lot of it has been Lynchburg, as they've won 11 of the 14 titles since 2006. But there was a spot in there where 3 different schools won titles, with Bridgewater winning in 2015, you winning in 2016, and then Washington and Lee in 2017. Talk a little bit about where you see the strength of the league right now, and if it's elevated over the time that you've been in the ODAC.
I would say it absolutely has elevated since I've been here. I'll be honest with you, my game day nerves and my level of anxiousness is like sky high no matter what ODAC team we're playing. So I think that's a testament to where all the teams are, and the respect I have for not just the student athletes in our conference, but all the coaches as well. So, I see them out there recruiting events, working just as hard as the person next to them. And obviously Lynchburg has been the one that's led the way, but that's a testament to Enza and what she's built there. I mean, how many games has she won at this point? I think I would be a fool to not try to do what she's doing. So,
absolutely.
You know the answer to that question?
I think it's over 500. I think that's the number. I'd have to go back and look. That's the one little bit of research when I was looking at things that after I hit the record button on this, I was like, you know what? I should have looked up how many victories Enza had, because it may come in handy. But
yeah, I'm quite a few hundred behind her right now. So I've beaten Lynchburg once as a head coach, and that was in the semifinals in 2016 when we won. So, it's good to have that program that we're, like striving to beat every year, because I think that's what motivates us to keep doing, what we're doing, all the repetitions and the 6 a.m. practice that we had this morning with no games to quickly follow. It's like, well, that's how we're going to beat those teams and how we're going to take them down. So,
well, we hope we get a chance to see more games, more victories for you, more victories for other teams in the conference. I can't play favorites and any of that. So when we're talking about non-conference play, if we get the chance to do that, whether it's this spring or next fall, definitely everybody go ahead and get victories there. But Ashley, I want to thank you very much for joining me today and contributing here to our ODAC Chat.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, JJ. Have a good day.
ODAC fans, stay tuned to the next ODAC Chat coming up. Until then, have a great weekend.